Doing today? Welcome to my photography shopping live stream where we go online and look for deals on photography accessories and gear. And also today's kind of a special day. They announced the OM System OM-5 Mark II. So we'll talk a little bit about that because that's kind of the big news for the day, and I can't pass that up, right? But I did find some good deals. In on Amazon and B&H, and B&H is also running their Build Expo deals. So a lot of them look like kind of normal deals you would get anyway, with a couple of exceptions. So I'll talk about those. And let's see, OM5 Mark II. So uh, I talked a little bit about it on Sunday based on the rumored specs, and they pretty much came out to be what they were reporting on 43 Rumors most recently. And so it's basically the OM5 Mark One with a minor revision to the body style. I like the new design, and I really like that new sand color. And uh, and of course, the USB-C port is now on the camera, and also an updated menu. So these are kind of the three key differences that I see over the Mark One is the newer, slightly revisioned body design, the new menu system, and the USB-C port. Everything else looks like it's the same, right, as the OM1. So functionally, it's really no different. I would say this is a very similar comparison to be like the Lumix LX100 Mark II and released 6 years later, the Leica Deluxe 8, where the two cameras are virtually identical, uh, but with some refreshes in the design and menu system, and the USB-C port, right? So it's almost kind of like that. There's otherwise functionally, image quality wise, performance, there's no difference. Now, uh, the The OM5 also added the CP button, which I really like the CP button on my OM3. It just gives you a nice shortcut to all the computational features, and so again, there's nothing new there, but there's some nice improvements in the workflow. So the big question is, I think for a lot of people, is do you upgrade from, say, a camera you may have currently in the OM System Olympus line to the OM5 Mark II. And I would say if you're a very, very pragmatic person, uh, if you have like an EM5 Mark III, a EM10 Mark II, I think it's probably worth the upgrade at this point. For you know, any of the EM10s, EM5 Mark III and lower, I think it's a good time to upgrade to the Mark II. The Mark One, the EM5 Mark One, I would say that'd be a great first camera. If you have the EM5 Mark One, I don't see enough here to upgrade to the Mark II. Uh, Unless you really want the sand color and you want the USB-C and the new menu, I don't see really any reason to do that. And I would say maybe wait for the Mark III. But if you, yeah, so let me talk about why I think updating from the M5 Mark III to the Mark II makes sense. The reason it didn't really make sense to me with the Mark One, the OM5 Mark One, is primarily because of the USB-C port and no menu system. Really, the OM5 Mark One, it did add one significant update to the workflow, and it's marginally improved in terms of the image stabilization and well, maybe not, but marginal improvements in some of the feature sets and the processing that you couldn't do in the EM5 Mark III. But it just wasn't quite enough for me primarily because I already had an OM-1. So the OM-5 Mark One didn't offer anything other than maybe a little smaller body, but it still wouldn't be quite enough as a backup to the OM-1. Number two, the OM-5 Mark One, the significant update there, in my opinion, was really being able to save the custom settings and adding handheld high-res shot mode and some other improvements there in the computational features. Those were nice updates. Very minor for most people, but they were nice updates in the workflow. And then slightly improved video. The OM-5 Mark II just updates the menu system, USB-C port, uh, and workflow with respect to now it has a CP button. So again, very minor from the EM5 Mark III to the OM5 Mark I to the OM5 Mark II. And I I think the cumulative updates to the OM5 Mark II from the EM5 Mark III, I think make it worthwhile. So for my money, if I didn't already have, say, the OM3, and I'm still on the fence, but the OM5 Mark II is a very attractive camera for many reasons. The key thing that it's missing really that I think a lot of people were expecting was like having a baby OM1 with the new stack sensor, the new subject detect, maybe some other features, but faster processing, faster everything, right? But they didn't raise the price. It's coming in at 11.99, and here in the US. So from that perspective, I'm extremely happy because it's what is that? That's $800 cheaper than an OM3, and it's just as capable as the OM3, except for the subject detect, right? So that's a huge difference because you still have the weather sealing, and now that they've added the PD power supply, you can use this continuously through the USB-C port as a webcam for doing astrophotography, long exposure photography, time lapse, all kinds of things. So it does expand quite a bit the capabilities of the camera in camera without having to buy, say, a separate like dummy battery, uh, which is how a lot of people do it now without having the USB-C port. And it's how I've been using the M5 Mark III as my primary webcam up until today. Today I'm using my OM1 because I wanted to have the M5 III out just to give you an idea. And I have the full base plate and grip that I've talked about before. But this is a great size camera, handles well, it's relatively lightweight and very capable. And the OM5 Mark II is just all of that and more, right? So thinking 11.99 at that price point, it's extremely attractive. Uh, if you're thinking about upgrading, it's a tough call. I'll give you that. It is a tough call if I upgrade from an EM5 Mark III to an OM5 Mark II. But I would lean towards it is if you need a new camera and you like the styling and the USB-C port is going to add some functionality, plus the ability to save custom modes, because that's kind of one of the most frustrating things of the M5 Mark III is you only have one spot here on the custom mode dial, whereas on the OM5 and the OM5 Mark III, you can assign buttons to the different custom settings. And that's a very handy feature to have. So those are kind of my initial thoughts about the camera. Uh, it's always exciting when a new camera gets released, and I'm glad to see that OM system is continuing to release cameras as minor as an update as they are. Like even the OM1 and OM1 Mark II, it's very minor, right? Increases in the buffer, maybe slightly better autofocus. Very minor update between the two cameras. So I'm going to wait for the Mark III OM1 and the OM5. I might also wait for the Mark III because I fortunately, I have the OM3. I don't know if anybody's thinking about this camera, but yeah, I can highly recommend it. At the current price point of $2,000, I think it's worth every single penny. If you can get a better deal on it, all the better. But I have no regrets about buying this camera at the price point. I paid full price, and I've been looking for a second one, trying to get a good deal on a second one, maybe used or a open box type deal. But I'm not seeing any right now. It seems to be holding its price on the used market if you can find them, unless you live in other countries like uh, Japan or some other places where you don't have to worry about the tariffs uh, and there's just a lot more of them available. So let me get to the chat section, and then we'll go to the shopping page and deals. But I do want to talk about the OM-5 a little bit first, and then we'll get into some shopping. So I see Darko's here. Good morning. Uh, so you got your used 24 to 85 VR Nikon F mount, and it was like new condition for 150 Canadian. I think it was a great, yeah, that's a great deal. And some of my first image I can say are tack sharp and great color. Yeah, it's a great lens. I used it on my Nikon DF. I think I might have actually uh, I took a few images the other day with it. I can share with you. I was anyhow. Yeah, it's a great lens. I can highly recommend it. It's for the Nikon F mount. So congrats on that. And Darko says, eventually when finances allow, I will get the Z7, but the roof and laundry machine have eaten the reserves for now. Yeah, tell me about it. Uh, Z7's a nice camera. I keep looking at them, when I'm just kind of window shopping, but I just can't pull the trigger because I don't want to start buying all the lenses again and stuff. Even though there's some great affordable lenses from Viltrox, it's still a lot of money. And I'm sorry, Darko, I have one more here. Would you just go for the ZF or the new Z7 II used? I would go the Z7 II used. That's, yeah, short answer. Mainly because it has the higher megapixel sensor, and I already have a great full frame camera. I have two great full frame cameras that give me 24 megapixels, or the DF gives me. So I have a Canon R8 and a Nikon DF, and those two do everything I need if I want to do any kind of full frame type stuff or mess around with full frame, which is very rare. And Darko says, will the OM-5 Mark II be any good for bird eye tracking like the OM-1? And it may be worth investing in Ali slash OM just for weight saving than find a used 75 to 300. So it doesn't have bird eye tracking or subject detect. So you're gonna have to use the 5 point, you know, and track it yourself. Clearly for bird on a stick and very slow moving wildlife, this is very, very easy to do. For birds in flight, everything from, say, your typical birds of prey like osprey and eagles, those won't be too hard to track by eye either. Just using a 5 point. An autofocus is very reliable, the phase detect. But going to very fast moving birds, we're talking kingfishers, tree swallows, things like this. Uh, I don't think the OM-5 would be able to keep up with that. So it's going to be kind of luck of the draw. But what's nice is the OM-5 Mark II still has pro capture, so you can get a lot of nice takeoff flights, and then the in-camera stacking and the high-res shot mode. So it has a lot of great computational features, watered down a little bit in terms of peak performance, but enough, good enough, and much better than many other camera systems that don't have these features. So I think if you're kind of a casual birder and you're going to be doing 75 to 300, even the 100 to 400, the OM-5 is a great camera for birding and wildlife. It's just not as good as, say, the OM-3, OM-1 series. And Serapis is super disappointed, but the OM-3 isn't compact. It's the only compact choice if that's important to you. It looks like they didn't fix the base plate or thumb grip issue either. So yeah, there wasn't any details on the base plate or the thumb grip, right? Everybody's just got the camera. And based on the weight of the camera, it's virtually the same. I think there's a 5 gram difference. I don't know where that 5 gram went, but hopefully it went into especially the base plate. But it really doesn't look any different in that respect because the same 3 screws around the thing. That's why, you know, I use these full base plates with my cameras. I have this on virtually all of my cameras. Is a full base plate. Sometimes they have an extra grip on them. Like this extends the grip out quite a bit, so it's even more comfortable. But then that takes away a little bit from the size and weight advantage that this camera had, say, without. Right. All I can say is the base plate issue. Just don't use like those peak design things where you kind of snap the camera onto your shoulder strap. Well, that seems to me is the most common way people are breaking their base plate is just this repeated click in and out. And then obviously, when you're mounting on a tripod, always use the lens collar if it's available. Say from the 40 to 150 f2.8 Pro, the 100 to 400, 300 f4. All these lenses have lens collars. Always mount the camera using the lens collar. Not Don't mount the tripod to the base plate. Because even full frame, or even full metal cameras, I've seen people break their tripod mount. So it's all about taking care, regardless of camera that you have, but take extra care with plastic bodied cameras and the OM-5, EM-5 series. This is definitely a weak point. I know a lot of people with this camera that have no problem. I've never had a problem because, again, I distribute the stress of the tripod along the base plate. But I have met people that, for really no fault of their own, base plate is broken, right? And I wish there was some more details on that if they did anything else, but time will tell. Time will tell if they did or did not. If they did not, it's not a deal breaker for me. But I would say for those of you that had that problem with your EM5 Mark III, you're probably never gonna buy an Olympus or on system camera again anyway. But, I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker if you take care, but it is an issue. And good to see you, Jeff. And Darko, good morning. Oh, okay. Darko's being very kind, spreading the good morning. And Rob, do you think Viltrox will become a Tamron Sigma type supplier of lenses with zoom lenses in the budget ranges? Eventually. Um, but Tamron makes some great lenses at great prices already. So I wouldn't hold my breath for a Viltrox or other third party zoom lens outside of Tamron and Sigma. They make great lenses and they're pretty affordable, especially Tamron. And Roger's here. Good morning. And Gordon says, "Hi, Rob. Yes, not many changes to OM-5, but still nice compact camera. As one reviewer said, should have been the OM-5 when released a few years ago. So you're going to order. Oh, cool. I know I have it in my cart right now, the beige model. It looks like it's on sale. I have a link down below to the B&H link, affiliate link to the B&H site that has the beige one they say is in stock. I could have it in a couple of days, and just I'm just debating. My problem is I don't know if I would ever really use it because have an OM3, which I just love so much. I just don't see myself taking an OM5 other than if I wanted a two camera setup where I have like a 300 f4 on this camera and I have a 40 to 150 kit lens on the OM5. That would be a nice, very small, compact, lightweight two camera setup, right? But I rarely do that. I don't do that very often. And if I had the opportunity to do it, I would be doing it with my EM5 Mark III right now, which I don't do. So I have to think about how do I use my cameras? What combinations of cameras and lenses do I use? And will getting an OM5 Mark II change that equation at all? I don't know if it would or not. Because I can just take this out with a 40 to 150 kit lens or put the 60 macro on here. This is a great camera for doing macro work because it is so small, compact, lightweight. The OM3, when I pick it up, it definitely has some heft to it compared, technically there's what, about an 80-gram difference between the two cameras? And this is almost double the price. But I would argue this is double the camera, really. But these are yeah, I don't know. And the problem I'm finding is if the EM5 Mark III, if I could get the EM5 Mark III for like $500, it'd be a tough sell to say get an OM5 or an OM5 Mark II, right? The OM5 Mark I is selling for 900 with a kit lens from B&H right now. And that's a good deal. For the OM5 Mark I with a kit lens for $899, you just want to have the USB-C port and new menus, right? And you're saving crap like $300-400. I don't know. But the USB-C port is kind of a big deal because it does reduce because I use dummy batteries right now, like this one. This one's kind of falling apart. I got duct tape and or electrical tape and everything around it. But uh yeah, I don't know. And I like that sand color. That'd be kind of cool to have. But I don't know if I want to drop 1,200 bucks right now. And perhaps 75 to 300. So yeah, So if you get the 75 to 300 and OM-5 Mark II, you're going to have an extremely capable setup. Like I was telling Darko about the birds and flights type thing, you're going to be fine for most situations. And you just have to just up your skill set a little bit with eye tracking, and it's not that hard. What I like about the bird detect is I only have to be as good as getting it in the frame, and then the subject detect will pick up the bird and focus nicely, even get on the eye. Not 100%. It's like 50-50, I think. If I can get the eye in focus versus say maybe their chest or wings, but often enough that I can it's usable, right? And Sarah says, I do like the autofocus can recognize sunglasses now and live. Oh, yeah, I guess that's always been a challenge, right? Sunglasses with face detect. I wonder if the OM1, I'm using the OM1, if I put my sunglasses on, if it'll still focus, because I don't know. Let me make a quick adjustment here. Okay. And I see Arena's here. Good to see you. And Paul, good to see you. Boring thing is 3 years of development only produce these small updates. Yeah, it's 'cause all right, so let's think about what else we're getting for that price point, give or take. For about $200 more, you can get like an XT50, which has, you know, a ton of developments from 3 years ago. It's the XH2, the XT5, all these cameras, maybe it's been 2 years since they put the 40 megapixel and the new X processor and all of that. The OM5 is still using the processor from the M5 Mark III, right? The TruePic 9, I believe. That's let's look at that. What else is around that price point? Like in a Canon R10? Canon R10 is about the same price point. So if I go to cameras, home system, and do that, and let's find the EM5 Mark III. I thought the OM5 Mark III is here. Oh, it is here. Okay, OM5 Mark II, I'm sorry. All right, good. Give me 1 second. So we're gonna do OM5 Mark II, OM5, EM5 Mark III in 2019. Wow, that came out in 2019? So it's been 6 years? Phew. And then let me pick a couple of competing cameras. So I was talking about the Fuji XT50 and a Canon. Let's see, the Canon R. We have to go to the Canon R7, I think. Yeah. And then we'll add one more, a Nikon. Let's see, Nikon Z50 Mark II. And yeah, that's enough. All right. I just needed a little perspective. So, if the Z somebody confirm if the Z50 has image stabilization built in or not. It's not critical for birds in flight type stuff because your shutter speed's so high anyway. But the Z50 being $100 less at retail is pretty compelling. It's pretty compelling. I think some of you have that here, right? I forget who. I think Darko might be one, but it's pretty compelling because they have some really nice telephoto lenses. Now, they're bigger and heavier, of course, but they have some nice lenses for wildlife sporting action. The main thing I see is that it doesn't have quite as fast as a frames per second. It's showing 10 frames per second, I think, in the specs there versus 30, and that's pretty significant. The OM-5, ultimately, I think I would prefer the OM-5 over the Z50 because I know what that camera can do. I know what the OM-5 can do. I just don't know exactly what the Z50 can do. But if it's $100 less and it has great glass, that's pretty compelling. Okay. Good morning. Hey, Robert, good to see you. And let's see, the OM3 seems better choice for wildlife. Yes, it is the better choice, no question. I mean, the frames per second, the pro capture, buffer, all of that, it's much better. And of course, the bird detect. And Bert is here. Good to see you. Robin, why did I lose audio? No, wait, no, my audio is good. Well, hey, Robin, how are you? Is my audio off right now? Maybe when I switch screens. I'm sorry. Maybe when I switch screens. I'm such a terrible live streamer. I don't know why I keep doing this. Let's see. Um, and Marco says the base plate on 5 was updated with more internal support. Dax Smith answered the question live. Yes, I remember they said that the OM5 did do some updates to the base plate, and I haven't heard anything really about the OM5 having problems, but it wasn't that bad on the EM5 Mark III, but it was definitely a problem, right? And let's see. And Jeff says, likewise, no regrets buying the OM3. Yeah, absolutely. And Intrigue is here. Good to see you. And audio is back. Okay, thank you. I don't know why the audio dropped out for a couple minutes there. Okay, Bert says, I own the OM1.1 and OM1.2 and now considering exchange the OM1.1 for the OM5 Mark II. As the menus are now similar on spec on the OM5 are sufficient for me as a small second camera, yes. So again, it depends on your use case, right? I think as like a sports action wildlife camera out in the field, it's a great second camera, right? You can put a different lens on each camera, and then each camera will have a very specific use. So it's just nice. If you have the luxury of being able to own two cameras, why not? Uh, would I trade an OM1 Mark One for an OM5? I don't think I would do that. Because OM1 Mark One is a much more capable camera, and it makes a great backup camera because it's going to use the same batteries. It's going to have a lot of the same similar features in terms of subject detect, pro capture, frames per second. So to me, it makes more sense to keep the OM1 Mark One than to swap to an OM5 Mark II. That said, if you do want to save a couple hundred grams and a little bit of space in your bag, the OM5 Mark II makes a lot of sense. And it depends on how you use the cameras in the field. But I would hesitate to swap an OM1 Mark One for a couple hundred grams and a little bit of size. That would be a tough call for me, Bert. because the OM1 Mark One is just much better camera, better EVF, better workflow with the dials going from different custom modes. There's just so many reasons to stick with the OM1 Mark One. And let's see. I need to buy a new mouse. The wheel on my mouse is starting to get a little bit flaky, kind of like the 5D Mark III top dial. It doesn't always turn. Marco says OM-5 Mark II won't be interesting to anyone with an EM5 III or newer, but it's going to be great potential for new customers looking for a capable. Yes. So that's what I'm hoping is I heard somewhere someone said that OM System made a profit last year, which is great. But uh, I think the new color, and then now at least being at least modernized with the new menu system and USB-C, it's a much better camera for OM systems to sell than the OM5 Mark One. And I don't know, I'm tempted. I really like that sand color, but I shouldn't buy a camera just because of the color, right? But not I've done that before. I've bought cameras for very superficial reasons sometimes. And wish we got the M43, got this. Wish M43 got the new Sigma 17 to 41.8. Is that a APS-C lens? I wasn't sure when I was looking at it. I saw a couple thumbnails for that. It's an interesting lens. But Sigma's not making Micro Four Third lenses anymore. They said that a long time ago. If they got back into it, man, that would be freaking awesome. And Darkus has got to use. Oh, why is the chat? My chat jump window jumped all the way back up again. And Ethan says, I think the extended warranty they're also offering on the OM5 Mark II makes it worth the additional 200 to 300 to do it compared to the previous model. That's yeah. I mean, if the warranty is does have value, it's not like it's a zero value. It's worth probably a couple $100. So um, that's a good point. Now I already carry insurance, so I'm not worried about the warranty quite as much. I've never had to make any claims on the insurance because I've always gone through the warranty, the manufacturer warranty. But I think I might be good if otherwise. Okay, we're gonna need to keep an eye on my audio. It's weird that the audio is dropping in and out. Oh, it's when I go to my other screen. So let me fix that part. It's when I go to. So now the audio should be back. All right. Sorry about that. Z52 is 30 frames per second electronic shutter mode, but only JPEG. Okay. So I think I think you can't underestimate 30 frames per second versus say 10 frames per second in shooting raw. That would be a deal breaker for me for the Z52 if I was thinking about sports action wildlife. If you're not a sports action birds and flight wildlife type person, the Z50 Mark II is very interesting, very compelling, very compelling camera. But for but knowing this information here, I would not I would not be able to go with the Z52 for hurting. For everything else, yeah. And I think the Z52 is weather sealed too, right? To some extent, probably not as good as the OM5, but uh, and no stabilization. Okay, and that's okay. I could get by. I could get by with or without the stabilization. Not having stabilization is image stabilization, it's not a deal breaker for me because just use the reciprocal rule. Keep your shutter speeds up and you'll be okay. Now, there's an argument to be had if you're in low light and it's still life, it's not moving, and you want to use lower ISO so you can use slower shutter speeds. Yeah, then image stabilization can help you a lot. But I don't do that very often. I'm always bringing a tripod whenever I can. Like I got a new one. I got a new one that I want to talk about. I haven't even talked about any shopping. Unfortunately, this is back up to $40 now. But it was 50% off last week. If you guys were watching, uh, this is a great mini tabletop tripod, but not for $40. For $20, it's amazing, but not 40. At $40, I would look elsewhere, or I would start looking elsewhere. Okay, hope you're doing well. Hey, Juliet, how are you? Good to see you. And I'm super torn about MFT right now. I took my Z50 and 28 to 400 on a long weekend, and it did a bang up job on birds. Size weight close to MFT, no IBIS or weather sealing. But it seems like there's more. I also want a body for street photography, which I can do a lot of travel. The OM3 seems perfect. Yes. If Juliet, I would, like I said, the Z50 for birding at 10 frames per second would be a little bit limiting, but you can still get great shots, right? So it's not the 10 frames per second is not good. It's just not as good as 30 frames per second. But and the IBIS, yeah, I don't care about that. But weather sealing, that's kind of a big deal. I'm a fair weather photographer, so weather sealing is not a deal breaker for me. But a lot of people, that weather sealing is critical. And the OM3 has all of that. It's wow. Yeah, just get the OM3. Seriously, if it's in your budget, skip the OM-5 Mark II and just get an OM3 with a grip. You'll have to buy a third-party grip. Uh, and it's not so much for the handling while you're shooting because you're shooting two-handed anyway. But it's for like when you're walking around, it's so much easier to hold the camera securely with this grip. Uh, when I'm walking around. And then when I take the picture, I'm always like this anyway. Yeah, the OM3 is such a good camera, and the Micro Four Thirds system with its small lenses, the 17-1/8, the 25-1/8, the 45-1/8. You take this Trinity there, those three lenses, or just take the 12 to 45 Pro. It's an f4, but for street, that's perfect. F4 is perfect for street. You know, I just can't think of a better camera. It's like the OM3 is doing everything I could possibly want it to do. I just Xmeta had stated that if it had dual card slots and maybe a screw on the front so you could actually put an OEM grip on the front, that would have solved a lot of problems. I don't disagree with that. But now we're talking about why don't you just get an OM1 Mark One or Mark Two? It's the same price right now on sale, right? It's 1999. If you really want a grip and comfortable camera, the OM1 Mark II is the way to go. This OM3 is just purely about style, right? And I'm so happy that they didn't handicap it uh, and make it like an entry level camera because and I get it. There's the argument that what if they just put the OM5 guts into the OM3 and knock the price down another $500 or $600? Yeah, that would be a nice option. But for me, I would not buy that one. I would buy the one that had the OM1 Mark II guts in it, as I have, because I can take this camera. everywhere. I can take it birding, I can take it in the street, I can take it to, my events, my paid event jobs that I do, because of the beautiful styling. Take a little bit of a risk on the single slot, though. That's the only thing that I have to be careful with. I've never had a memory card fail on me on a paid job, but I've had cards fail on me in the field for my personal stuff. So I buy cameras for color in the past. Yeah. Yeah, I do it. Not so much for the color, but just for the aesthetics. Like take for example the Leica Deluxe 8. It's the same thing as the LX100 Mark II. It's just a different aesthetic, basically. Different menu system. I get that, but menu menu systems are not a deal breaker for me. Even when the menu system sucks, like on a Fuji, I wouldn't say it sucks, but it sucks. I hate the Fuji menus. I just hate them. And but I love the camera. I have an XH2 over here. I love the camera, but I hate the menu. Does it keep me from using the camera? No, not really. But it's definitely annoying to use a menu. And the menus in the Olympus, the old menus, a lot of people complained about those, but I really didn't have a problem with it. And even the new menu system and OM systems that they're using now, they just kind of inverted it, right? So that uh, you scroll along the top to change to different parts of to different sections versus scrolling down the side. And in a lot of ways, I kind of like the old menu system. I mean, the old menu system is fine. You're just scrolling down. You're just scrolling down this way instead. Instead of along the top. It's really not that much different. And any medium-sized camera bag deal, specifically backpacks, there is one. There is one. Let me catch up on the chat and we'll just go to shopping. Roger said, if I didn't have the OM1 Mark One, I would trade up my EM5 Mark III, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat, right? It's like I already have the OM3 and an OM1 Mark One and an EM5 Mark III. The only reason I would get an OM5 Mark II is because I like that sand color. Because the menu is not going to convert me. The USB-C port, I can work around that. And what would make the OM5 Mark II, just like the OM5 Mark One, much more usable is because of the custom dials and the custom settings you can set up. Because it's just a pain in the butt with the EM5 Mark III. Also, the CP button, being able to quickly access the computational features in the OM5 Mark II. It's about the workflow that the OM5 Mark II introduces over the previous generations, right? The USB-C port, the CP button, the new menu system. These are really pretty significant workflow updates that make it really feel like a modern camera now, rather than a camera that came out 6 years ago, right? So, and I like the styling in the sand color. So maybe I can sell my M5 Mark III and uh, and get an OM5. I'll have to see. I'm waiting for District Camera to get them in. Hopefully they will, because I can buy it off B&H right now, but I'd rather buy it locally from my store here. I like to support the local camera shops when I can. So I have a thumb grip rubber fixed twice, so wonder if they improve that in the new model. Yeah. Let's see, is mine on? Yeah, mine is not even on there anymore. It's gone. Uh, they just should have made it metal and added a little texture rather than putting a rubber piece in there. That would have been better. But I think the problem is there's a couple of screws under here. So as they're putting the camera together, they need a place for screws. But this is metal here. Yeah. No, that's plastic. Sorry. It's a hard plastic though. I mean, it's a really good plastic body, but weather resistant, not weather sealed. Okay. So it'll handle a few raindrops and you don't have to worry. And Rob sent you an email on live compile. Oh yeah, I did see it. I'm sorry I didn't respond to those yet, but I did see them. I'll email you back later today. And Darker says, I hate the Sony menus as Nikon and Canon have the most intuitive menus in my opinion. Yeah. I Nikon is not as good as Canon or Panasonic, but I'd put Canon, Panasonic at the top. It doesn't matter to me. Nikon is good. Uh, Nikon and the old Olympus menus are about the same to me. And the new OM system menu system is right up there with the Canon, even though it's not that much different. And then yeah, and then Fuji dead last, like way behind for me. Some people, I'm sure they love them, but I struggle with the Fuji menus. So I love the 14 to 150 kit lens. Sometimes we get so crazy on pixel peeping, we fail to forget we got with film. Yeah, there's a good deal. I think it's only $300 more to get the 14 to 150 kit lens with the OM-5 Mark II, and that's a steal. And Ryan says a lot of new features could be added to the existing OM-5 with the same internals. To be honest, they have the same processor, so technically they could have implemented some of those changes. So yeah, I think the CP button potentially they would have to do quite a bit of work, but maybe not. Because they've already done the work in the OM-5 Mark II, but they'd have to do quite a bit of work, I think, to get the new menu system in the OM-5 Mark I. I'm trying to think, what would technically be an issue? I don't know why a firmware update couldn't do that, but I don't know exactly how much of the firmware has access to the menu system. I just don't know enough about how they program the the camera for the user interface, if that's firmware updatable or not. I know they've added things to the menu through the firmware, but to do a full, you know, uh, change to the menu system like they did in the Mark II, that may be a little bit beyond what a firmware update can do. But I just don't know enough about how they programmed everything. Okay, let me show you a couple of deals. Or let's talk about a couple of deals here. So this is the memory is on sale again from PNY. This is excellent memory. This is a great memory card for your OM-5, OM-5 Mark II, OM-1, all of the OM system and Olympus cameras that use UHS-2. This is going to improve the performance of your camera significantly if you run into buffer issues a lot. If you're not buffering all the time like you're doing sports action wildlife, don't worry about this. But if you like to do any kind of continuous shutter modes and are running into buffer issues, this is going to make a huge difference. I bought I've bought at least 3 of these. It says 3 times. I think I have 4 of these, but in any case, you know, this is a great deal. 40 bucks for a V60 UHS-2 card, 80 bucks for a 512. So just take your choice here. 128, 256. You gotta, I would not buy a V30 card anymore. I'm never buying a V30 card in my life. I'm always gonna buy these. These cost a little bit more, but will give you the same performance as a V90 card. Okay, I'm kind of digging. This is a generic Peak Design set. I'm kind of digging this. This was like 20 bucks when I bought it the first time. Does it show? It doesn't show that I bought this before, but I bought this before, and I really like this one. It's a generic set, 10 bucks, and you get four, right? So you can set up two cameras with this. Uh, okay, so I think it was Darko, but somebody was asking about a backpack deal. So this backpack is 60 bucks. And I think it's a really nice backpack for what you're getting for $60. I did see a deal for a backpack that was like $21. I originally had it on my list, but I took it off because it was just a little bit too low quality. Mosiso here is a very good brand of respected brand. It's not top tier like, a Peak Design or the VSGO that I reviewed, but they make very good bags at very, very affordable prices here. And it's very functional, right? It has the side pocket, has the front pocket. It's just big enough to hold stuff. I think it's 18 inches tall by 6 inches deep. So it's going to hold all your gear comfortably. It has the top pack here. The top compartment, is just for loose items. But typically, what I do is in the top compartment, I put a smaller backpack. I'm sorry, a smaller bag or dividers in the top, and use that for uh, carrying stuff like gear and lenses and stuff as well. The other thing I like about this backpack is that they have feet on the bottom, so this should stand up pretty straight when you set it down on the ground and be stable. And it also protects the bottom of the bag, the material there, so it doesn't get torn and jacked up and ripped a lot. Now, it's the images they took, the pictures of this that they took here are not very good, but this looks like it's sort of a vinyl canvas type material. And it has sort of that rip resistant type canvas material. It's not like cloth canvas, it's vinyl canvas. So it should be pretty durable. And I don't know what that strap is down there. The only thing, and it comes with a rain cover, so let's get to that. The only problem I see with this bag really is the zippers are not your standard like YKK high end type zippers. So there's potential in a heavy downpour, rain could seep in through the zippers and your gear might get wet. So, like I said, if you get stuck in a heavy down rainpour, you want to make sure you have the rain cover to give you that extra layer of protection that's included with the bag. But, for a light rain, on and off type rain, you're going to be fine. Your gear is not going to get wet. But the only time these zippers become a problem is in a sustained rain, where water could start to seep into your gear. There's some nice little straps here on sale. This one has the Peak Design style, attach, detach, nylon cord, $7.50. I mean, that's a nice strap for that money. Here's another strap for $4. Now this strap here doesn't uses sort of these clip buckle types. I wouldn't use this style buckle on anything but the lightest cameras. So like an X100 style like they have here with light lenses. Don't use this strap on say like your DSLR cameras and your, if you're going to be carrying more than a kilo of weight, you know, combined with your lenses and everything, this strap is it's a little risky. And it's not going to be comfortable anyway because the strap is kind of thin. So this is ideal for cameras that are like under a kilo, so with the lens. So we're talking, 10F, OM-3, X100, this kind of range with the smaller lenses. Uh, Now, you were asking about backpacks, but I really like this bag here. Again, this is the Mosiso brand. It's going to be $24. And this one, let's see if we can get a nice close-up shot. But this one has a lot of nice, pockets everywhere. Comes with a rain cover. The stitching everywhere looks really good. The strap is stitched directly into the bag. I like everything about this bag. I would put this right up there with the premium VSGO bag that I just reviewed. It doesn't have quite as many features as that bag, but for $24, because the VSGO bag that is my favorite bag right now is $100. And me personally, if they didn't just give me one for a review, I would buy this bag. Okay, but because they sent me this thing, this bag, but I did a review on this bag. This is definitely a better bag and worth $100. But the Macizo you're looking at is very similar to this. But clearly, this is clearly the better bag, but it's four times the price. So I really like this bag a lot, though. Uh, and here's a bag for $21. This looks really good too. 21 bucks. Okay, let me talk about this camera just for 1 second. This is a cheap $33 camera, retro style. Because we talked about the Yashica the other day, right? The Yashica, whatever brand, I forget what it's called. But they have a retro SLR style digital camera that they're asking between $300 and $500 for. And I would argue that this is just as good as that, but this is a TLR style. So the Yashica, I feel like that they're just charging a bit too much. If it was under $200, I would be tempted. Under $100, I'd probably get one because I really like the DSLR style or SLR style of the Yashica. But I would argue that this is just as good in terms of image quality and retro styling. So if you want kind of a fun little camera with a retro style, I would skip the Yashica and get this instead. This is even more interesting, and it would make a great gift for any photographer. Oops. Okay. And then there's the normal stuff down here that I've talked about a million times. All of this stuff down here is great. You know, for the money, these are all very, very good products. I really like the Snap-on. I love this monopod from Sure. All the OM system lenses on sale right now. And what's interesting is right here, if you have a Prime Store card, you get an additional 10% off, or you get 10% back. Normally you get 5 or 6%, but they're giving 10% back. So that makes this lens basically $8.99, brand new, the 100 to 400, if you use your Prime Store card. So don't miss this opportunity. Save another 100 freaking dollars off the lens. Okay, so let me go back to the chat. So that's all I had for today for the shopping. Definitely check those out. When you buy through my affiliate links, uh, you support the channel basically. But let me ask you one more, or let's talk about one more thing, and that's B&H. And I have a link down to the B&H OM-5. uh, down there. But right now they're having their Build Expo specials, right? So let's look at that one. There's Nikon. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things here. Here's a ZF with a 40 millimeter lens. That's a good deal. And they throw in a bag and a memory card with it. The Z7 II for 1800 bucks. That's a good deal. Because used, these are selling for around 14, 1500. You can buy one brand new and get a bag and a memory card, you know, for 1800. I'd probably go for this one here. Okay, here's the original Z50, 996 with two lenses. Wow. That's a pretty compelling offer there, right? And with these two lenses, you can do everything you'd want to do because it's what, 16 all the way to 250 millimeters, and then you add in the crop factor, so we're talking what, 24 to 375. You know, 24 millimeters out to 375 millimeter focal length equivalent, 20 megapixel sensor. This is a great sensor, by the way. It's very old. It's been around a long time since I think the Nikon D500. But yeah, it's a great sensor. And X-Speed 6, okay. 4K video, but yeah, I would I definitely have no problem recommending this one. The screen flips down, that's not so great. But some people prefer that flip up, flip down rather than the fully articulating. So I think that's a great deal. Now on the um, Olympus side, let's um, let's look at let's look at Olympus and OM systems. So of course the OM-1 Mark II or the OM-3, they're both at this price now. Either one, if you want a grip with, you know, the OM-1 Mark II is the better camera. So if you're a more pragmatic person, get the OM-1 Mark II. If you're more like me and you like the little bit of flair in your camera, the OM-3. The original OM-5, don't get this one. There's a better deal down here. This one right here, OM-5 with a kit lens for 899. That's a killer deal. So I got to put this in my links. So let me do this. Where is it? Yeah. Is it the OM-5 or the EM5? Yeah, it's the OM-5. Oh man, that's pretty tempting. I should probably get that OM-5 with kit lens. 899 OM-5 with a kit lens. Yeah, that's hard to beat. Okay, and let me check the chat. My problem, OM does not have much of a local presence in Canada, as you need to order and wait for lenses and yeah, it's unfortunate. And Marco says, I know, I always laugh at that. Different colors in the menu, just horizontal versus vertical, but somehow it's a huge improvement. People just love to complain. Yeah. So Marco knows, right? We're seeing the menu the same way. It's like it's just they kind of flipped it around and used icons instead of letters and numbers. And Ryan says a lot of yeah. So we talked about that. And And yeah, Robin's gonna talk to OM-5. Robin's gonna do a better job than me, you know, clearly. Robin is really good at uh doing live streams, much better than I'll ever be. And thank you for your advice. I'm much closer to the OM3 for street and birding while I'm on trips. I don't have pro glass though. What do you think of the 75? Yeah, 75 300 is an awesome lens. I would say skip everything in between. Just get the 75 to 300, and then when you're ready, get the 300 f4 or the 150 to 400. I would skip the 100 to 400. I'd also skip the 150 to 600. I would just go for the other two pro glass, one or the other. You can definitely the 300 f4 with a 1.4 teleconverter. You can pick that up for like 2 grand used. But until then, 75 to 300 is an amazing lens. I've taken so many good pictures with that combination. All right. Going back to the build deals. So you can get black or this is okay. EM10 Mark IV is getting a very long in the tooth. I would say for $200 more, get the OM5 with the kit lens. Don't get this. This is a good deal, but and it's a fine camera, but it's not, for $200 difference, you got to get the OM5. That's the Mark One. Okay. Uh, and then the last, let's see what Panasonic's got on the table. S1 Mark II, S1R, 164 applied in cart. Okay, so 5% off there. And let's see, the S5 Mark II, that's not bad. 1700, 1500 for the Mark II, S5 Mark II and S5 2X. I would just get the S5 II, forget about the 2X. With the 20 to 60, that's a great lens. 1800, that's not bad. But I think we should wait for a better deal. The GH7, I think if you're into video, you know whether or not this is a good deal for you or not. I'm not I'm not a video guy, so I can't really speak about the GH7 much. G85 for 6 7, no, I wouldn't do that. G97 for 200 more, forget it. I mean, these are nice cameras, but I remember being able to buy this camera for like 500 bucks. I don't know. Maybe that's it now. Okay, the Lumix with the S9, I'd skip that deal. The camera's fine. I just don't think that's a great deal. Another $90 coupon in cart. So, uh, 1700 maybe. G97 for 800. I'd skip that. Definitely skip the S5. G9 Mark II for 1800 and a 12. That's not bad. That's not bad. This is a substantial savings over the OM1 Mark One. So if I had to choose between a G9 Mark II with a 12 to 60 or an OM1 Mark One with a 12 to 40, uh, yeah, I'd probably go for this. I'd still choose the OM1 Mark II over the G9 Mark II, but I think when we're talking about the Mark One, I think the G9 Mark II is probably the better camera or equal camera for a lot less money. And GH7. Okay, so yeah, so I don't know, this is tempting me. I had a chance to get one for $2,700 an open box. I almost did it, but I hmm. Okay, and then finally Canon. Let's just look at Canon. Let's sort by low to high. Let's see what they got. R100, skip, skip that deal. R50, skip the R50. That's not a very good camera. Uh, yeah, skip the R100, the R50, the R10. Ah, $100 off. That's not worth it. RP, $200 off. Nope. RP with a 24 to 105. Okay, this is not a bad deal. If you want a full frame camera with actually a pretty decent lens for $1,000, this is a pretty good deal. And this camera, I reviewed this camera before. Autofocus is fine. It doesn't have subject detect, and it's fairly compact, lightweight system overall. It's not as small as an OM-5, but this is a full frame camera. It's pretty good. I thought this was a 33 megapixel sensor, but okay, 26, whatever. Here's an R10 with an 18 to 150. Nope, I'd skip that. The R8 for I'd wait. I've seen this camera sell for 11.99. I would not. I would wait for that deal. Wait for like maybe. Yeah, I would. I would expect July, August. I would wait about a month on that. Definitely don't do this. R7 for 13.99. Save $100. $100 coupon applied in cart. So what are they trying to say? Let's. Are they saying you get $100 plus another $100 off? So 13.99. Let me remove this. So 13.99 plus $100. So okay, so it's really $200 off. That's not bad. So you're effectively paying 12.99 for an R7. So the R7, right, is very, very competitive with the OM-5 because it's gonna have better video, it's gonna have the better autofocus. I don't know about the frames per second, but it's saying 30 frames per second e-shutter, 15 frames mechanical. At 12.99, this is pretty compelling. And then you add on, say, any of these kit lenses, and you'll be in good shape. These are not great lenses, though. I know that. Uh, and that's kind of the Achilles heel for Canon is their APS-C lenses are not very good. You would have to get. Uh, I like the camera body, but I don't like the lens options. Okay. Let's go back to the specials. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let me go back to the chat section. See what you guys are up to. Oh, no more chat. Looks like I'm all caught up. Okay, so let's look at one or two other deals here. Um, Build Expo. Let's see if we can find some good deals on lenses here. So mirrorless lenses, feature, price low to high, and lens mount, 24 micro four third lenses. So yeah, I would skip this. I wouldn't get this. This is an interesting lens. So I like this one, 122, but it's not really a super deal there. Yeah, the mirror lenses I'd skip. The 100 to 300, I would get the 75 to 300 from Olympus over this one. Although this is a little bit faster on the long end. If you have a Panasonic camera, get this. If you have an Olympus camera, get the 75 to 300. The Nocton here, 600. That's not a super deal. Yeah, skip that. Get. I mean, this is very good deal, but the Olympus 8 to 25 f4 is better than this. It costs more, but it's better than this. Way better. Nothing here. The 8 to 18, I would get this over the Panasonic 7 to 14. This is a nice lens. Little pricey, but this is a nice lens. This is a little bit smaller than the 100 to 400 from Olympus, but this is an excellent lens. If you have a Panasonic camera, I would definitely get this. I would probably lean towards the Olympus version if you have an Olympus camera, but these work great on Olympus cameras too. So that's a tough call for me. Man, this is expensive. Forget that. Forget that. All right, that's it. Okay, so anybody have any questions about any of the deals or anything you want to shop for and get an idea if that's a good deal or not? I have a pretty good feel for most of the deals that we saw, and I would say the very best deal is that OM-5 with kit lens. That's a deal. The OM-5 Mark II with a 14 to 150. That's an excellent deal because they're only asking 14.99. So you're getting the 14 to 150 for 300 bucks. That's a good deal. Uh, okay. So I see a question here. I missed your question about the OM1 base plate. Okay, the only one that I can recommend is the one from Small Rig. So let's see if they have it. I'm sorry, Really Right Stuff. Either one of these are both very good, but I would get this one. This is the one that I have. You can get it with an L bracket as well. If you need an L bracket, then you have to spend like double, but this is not a bad deal. It's in stock. Uh, so let me give you the link to that one. This was $100, I think, when it came out, but okay. Hopefully that answered your question. If it was something else, then let me know. And then, Rob, I'm after a bag for my EPL9 and XA7, something small, but also fit a bottle of water into for 4-hour trips. Whew, okay. Okay, the EPL9 and XA7, these are pretty small. So let me take a quick look. Because the two bags that I recommended are not the Macizo. This doesn't really have pockets for a drink. Let me see. Let me take a quick look. So it needs to be a little bit on the smaller side, but then hold a drink. So maybe this one, I was looking at this one earlier. Give me 1 second. I'm just scanning a bit, and then I'll give you my recommendations there. I'm not seeing any that are particularly my style, but you might like them. Okay, nothing here. Because the the hook here for the deal is holding a water bottle. Because a water bottle is bigger than either of those cameras you're talking about. And so it's hard to find a bag that will hold a water bottle and two small cameras. Okay, I think these are the only two. Yeah. All right. So I found this one here. And the side pockets, it does have a pocket here for like a water bottle. And if you look inside, the case is pretty small. So you can easily hold those two cameras plus an extra lens or two. Do they give the actual dimensions? I can't imagine that it's not a very big bag though. Oh, here are the dimensions, 11 by 5 by 8. So yeah, this is pretty small bag. But I think this bag is a good deal. So I'm going to add this to my page here. And let me give you the link too. So this is a small bag. So there's a link to that bag there. $17. It's normally, I mean, this bag is normally $35. Probably goes on sale quite a bit though, but yeah, it's normally 35, $36, and right now it's $18, half price. So this is a pretty good deal. It's that sort of a tan, we'll call it sand beige, okay? Sand beige. But it looks pretty well made, nice and small, and will hold a water bottle. And it zippers up top. This whole part is all zippered around, so it does seal, and then it has the cover flap. So I think you'll be okay with this. It's going to be very secure. It looks to be decently padded, plenty of pockets. I was looking at this one. This one's $8, but this looks really cheap. And I don't see. Well, it has a side pocket for water, but where's the strap? There's no. Oh, there's the loop for the strap, but there's no strap, so forget this. This is the kind of bag that I would use inside of a larger backpack. This is more like an insert than it is a camera bag. And it's not, I don't like these. It's not, I don't know, I don't like this style too much. But okay, let's see what else we got here. Uh, Thanks, Rob. I find the camera really digs into my hand at the front left-hand side. Okay. I don't have that. The really right stuff bracket's not going to help a lot with that though, because it's pretty thick and heavy. Um, Thanks, Rob. Could be. Oh, okay. Yeah, that bag is pretty nice. Does anyone make a base plate for use on the OM1 with a battery pack on? Haven't seen. No, I haven't seen that. Yeah, just a straight plate. Yeah, I haven't seen anything where they make a you would need a cage. They might have a cage, but I doubt it. The only time I've seen where the the plates are incorporated when you have the additional battery grip on is when it's an entire cage setup, and I've never seen one for the OM1. Camera has a couple of sharp points. Okay. I didn't notice that on mine, but I've had that base plate on mine for a long time. Well, they have a strap for that bag, but they only show it for the tan version. Okay. So I think, that bag, let me go back to that bag. Oh, I see. Yeah. Actually, this grayish version is pretty nice. I didn't like it in black, but in gray, this is actually nice. Kind of got a two-tone action going here, but it's not available. It's 20 bucks. So you'd have to get this black one. I would use this just as an insert or something, and then you can carry it with you if you need to. But I would use it as an insert to a backpack or something. Okay. Uh, did you find a solution? I did. I did. I thought I talked about this in the last video, but I have a better solution coming next week. But I found this PC sync port adapter. So you have there's a little pin here for the hot shoe and the PC sync port, and then you would just put this on, right? Like that. And then plug this into the Luxmaster. That's my solution. So now I can operate the flash full manual. Because if I use the X3 trigger, which really isn't much bigger than that little PC sync port, right? It's a little awkward to use manual. I just don't like touch screens. I struggle with these for some reason. Really for two reasons. One, my dying eyes. I can't see the settings this close to my face. I'd have to wear my glasses, but then when I'm looking at the subject, because I'm farsighted. So this is the problem I have with touch screens. Uh, I don't have that problem with the camera live view because usually I can just put, go into the EVF and I have a little diopter here. But with these kind of devices, I struggle a little bit. So that's why I went with this. So this is like $12. It's a PC hot shoe sync adapter thing. And then you need to buy the PC sync cable separately. So this, I got like three cables plus this for about 20 bucks. Another solution that's coming is a Godox flash. I forget what it's called. Hopefully it comes in soon. But it's about the same size as this X3 trigger, but it's a lithium ion flash that's TTL compatible and also works as a trigger. So that's going to be the ultimate solution. And it's relatively low profile. So we'll see how it works in practice when it comes in. They're going to send me a couple of them for review. Unfortunately, not for OM systems, but I'll probably just end up buying one for OM systems directly when available, but they're not available right now. And I use the Olympus grip on my EM5 Mark III. No problem taking it off for battery change. They just need to make it Arca-Swift. Yeah, I know. I know. Uh, I bought the grip for my EM5 Mark II. It's awesome, but yeah, no OM. But, but I have a solution for you. Oh, Let's see. It's in this bag. I'm pretty sure I put it in here. I found these really nice. Oh, did I put it on a camera already? I may have. This. This is a really nice, thin Arca Swiss plate. Look how thin that is. Really thin. You can put this on the bottom of that grip. ECG, whatever, ECG 5, I forget what it's called. The grips for the EM-5 Mark III. Look how small that is. It's so tiny compared to, say, even the Peak Design plates, right? These Peak Design plates are very, very small to begin with. But this is like even smaller. If I put this next to it, I mean, look at the difference in size comparatively. Let me get it into a. I mean, it feels like it's roughly 60% of the size. So you can put this on the bottom of your ECG 5, and it won't really add much to it overall. Just like this plate's not adding anything to my camera. And I'm showing it to you like in the worst possible way. Only problem with this plate, I'll give you the link. It was 20 bucks. Yes, it's both a trigger and a flash. That's why I'm excited about it. Because it's not much bigger than this, right? I think. And it's a trigger receiver. It has both. The new Kodak's V, yeah, the IT30 Pro. That's the one I'm thinking about for maybe another solution. But we'll see when it comes in. And the V, I'm not familiar with this. I'll look at it. But let me get this link for the plates because this is something I ordered recently, so I'll be able to find it pretty quickly. Recent orders. Oh, I have my I ordered this bag. I paid $13 for it. It says 9 here, but I paid 13. And I ordered some groceries. There's my mini tripod. I paid 20 bucks for. It's this. So, oh, it's 5% coupon on it right now. Let me give you the link for this. And I'll add it to my deal page. It's not really a deal, but it is a nice little thing to get. Okay. Okay, so that's the Arca Swiss plate. And what's the other thing you're looking at is the V480? Borax V480. Oh wow, what is this? How come nobody asked me to review this? This is a replacement to the TT350 because this is really small. Man, I gotta contact Godox and say, send me this effing flash. This is awesome. It looks to be just a hair bigger than the TT350, but not much. Wow. Let's see what, so 282 grams with a guide number of 50. So what is the TT? Let's look at the V350. The V350 is Where are the specs? They don't give the specs the same way, do they? Uh, how about this one? TT350, 200 grams. 200 grams, 62 by 40, and Kodak's V480. These are Canon, Nikon. Well, let's just grab this Canon. Uh, Guide number 50, trigger modeling lamp, built-in LED, wireless. Oh, here it is, 280. Oh, it's 80 grams more, but they don't give the dimensions. But I think that's a fair trade-off because if you look at a V850 version 3, here's a V860. The V860, this has a GN. This is a more powerful flash, clearly. Uh, they don't give the guide. Man, it's hard to find specs on these in a consistent way. Modeling lamp, trigger, but they don't give us dimension and weight and all of that, of course. Mm. 450 full power flashes. Well, anyway, wow, that looks really interesting. I like that. So yeah, it's a 36 guide versus a 50. So yeah, it's a little bigger, right? It's 80 grams bigger. So it's going to have bigger capacitors inside for the higher charge rate, all of that. That looks really good. Smaller than a V850, I guarantee it's smaller than a V850 860. Newer interface, modeling lamp. That looks really nice. I need to get one of those. Says Rob, I have the Olympus 900 size flash, too freaking big. Any suggestions for replacing? So yeah, that V8 V480 looks really good. Uh, I would get that, or the V8, the V350. I would skip the TT350. Just get the V350 or the V480. Those are both excellent. And Rob says the new OM-5 2 just looks like the M5 III with new menus and some computational features. Is selling for the same price as the S9. The video features are a disappointment. Yeah, it's the OM Systems Olympus. They've never had. Nobody's ever said, "Wow, look at the video on that." So, I guess is you definitely have to go if you. The problem with the S9 is no hot shoe, no mechanical shutter, so you can't use it with flash, and so it's a very video centric camera. You can use it for photography, natural light, or if you'd like to use continuous lighting like LED lighting in the studio, you could probably get away with that. But that camera is more of a street logging camera that's full frame, and I think it's great for that. But the OM-5 is a very, very different camera. So being at the same price point, they both have pluses and minuses, right? The OM-5 is going to be much more photocentric, and you're going to go a lot further in your photography with an OM-5 than you ever will with an S9. But then the reverse is true. If you do video, you'll get a lot further with an S9 than you ever will with an OM-5. So I think the trade-off is makes sense and the price point. The S9, you have to get it on sale though to get it for the price of the OM-5. The OM-5 at regular price is about the same price as an on sale S9, right? But if you look at the OM-5 Mark One for $899 with a kit lens, that's way cheaper than a S9 with a kit lens, even on sale. So it's not really the same price. You kind of have to throw in all the apples and oranges together and then do that comparison, right? But yeah, no disagreement. S9 video, much better. OM5 Mark II video, yeah, just kind of for like capturing clips time to time. It's not a serious video camera by any means. Panasonic, okay, good. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Why didn't they? How come nobody? I bet OM Systems even reached out to me for the OM5, and I missed it. I missed so many emails. Uh, and then there's the V480. Why didn't anybody ask me about that? They asked me about all these other freaking things that I don't care about, like I think it was an i830. I don't know. There was a lot of other flashes Godox has come out with over the past year, and none of them interest me. And I turned them all down. Maybe that's why they stopped calling me or emailing me. It's like, Rod doesn't review shit. He ain't doing it. um, hey, Jew, how are you? Good to see you. The 480 is going to sit in the middle of the 350 and 860. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like, yeah, based on the guide number, that right there is a good clue. But I think it's a nice, perfect compromise between the 850. Yeah, that's a really very intriguing. I mean, I would just buy that instead of the V350. It's almost the same price. It's only a little bit more. I gotta buy that as soon as the Panasonic one comes out. I'll see if I can get one for review first, of course, but I'm definitely gonna buy it. If I can't get one as a review, I'm gonna buy it. Uh, that's that's a great little flash. So you're gonna get one too. Okay, cool, cool. Um, I mean, I got too many flashes as it is. I almost got as many flashes now as I do cameras. It's terrible. IT30 Pro with new Godox. Is the Godox? Yeah. Okay. So I answered this one. Okay, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything major on the chat. Oh, Shri is here. Hey, Shri, that's a big one. How you doing? We need to schedule that dinner. Uh, I'm trying to figure it out. We're gonna go to the Green Springs tomorrow, I think, or Meadowlark, but uh, if you go to that, because I know you don't normally go to the dinners with us, though. But we'll see you tomorrow, probably at Meadowlark, right? And Rob, I have the Olympus 900 size flash, too freaking big. Any suggestions? Uh, so I thought I just answered that one. Yeah, I'm sorry, my chat just jumped up. So I would seriously consider the V480 or the V350. You probably like the V350, but I don't know what you're doing with the flash. If you're using the flash for just like macro stuff and indoors, the V350 will be good enough. If you're going to be using it outdoors more, even in like low light, I would push you towards the V480 because that'll be smaller than 900. But the V350, that's pretty tempting. Maybe if that goes on sale, maybe I'll just get that. V350. Yeah, it's not much cheaper. It's 143. Ah, I mean the V350 is getting long in the tooth. I think I would lean towards the V480. That looks really good. I don't know how useful that modeling light would be, but how did I miss this? I gotta look at my email. Somebody had to offer this to me. So is it a touch screen? It is a touch screen. And 1/8,000th with Sony global shutter. So to work with a global shutter, I seriously doubt that. And then a USB-C rechargeable battery. That's nice. Man, this looks really nice. I'm a little pissed nobody reached out to me to review this. So I would have definitely taken one. All right, guys. I don't see any other questions. Are those flashes on your page? No, they're not, but I will add it. Uh, well, the Godox versions are not. I'm sorry, the Olympus Panasonic versions are not available yet, as far as I can tell. Let me just look. There is one, but it's not shipping for like a month. But I'll add this to my page. So I just added this one to my page, but it's saying like July 22nd, maybe as early as like a month later. But I might have to get this. And then the V 350. I'll add this to my page also. I mean, this is a good flash, but I would steer you towards the V480 over this. This is getting a little long in the tooth. Okay. Yeah, they're on the Godox site, but not yet shipping. Yeah. So that's what it looks like on the Amazon site. They're just waiting for them to come in. Um, but okay. I think that's it for today. So you guys, thanks so much for being here. I just got a text about the OM-5 Mark II being announced. No cure for gas. Yeah, there's no cure for gas. I got so many things I didn't even talk about this tripod, how great it is. I got it for 20 bucks last week on my deals, and this is great. But okay, guys, I really appreciate you guys coming in, joining me, talk about the OM-5. I may have to do another stream. Actually, I'll just go to Robin's stream, talk to him in the chat section about it. He'll do a much better job than I did. He's going to be super critical too, right? He's a big fan of Micro Four Thirds, but he doesn't hold back. If he doesn't like something, he's going to be like, you know, this sucks and that sucks, and yeah, nobody needs that. I love Robin. I don't always agree with him, but uh, I certainly respect his opinion either way. And I'm going to be watching a lot of other videos. I watched the ones from Red 35 did a good review, and of course Emily from Micro Four Nerds did a nice video on it. And but nobody's getting into the fine print, right? Like, what about the thumb grip? What about the faceplate? What about the USB-C port? Can you now tether the freaking camera? I don't know. I doubt it because OM3 doesn't tether. So why would the OM5 tether? Little things like that. You know, I'm a fine print kind of guy, right? Usually, usually when it comes to buying things. Um, okay, so that's it. So you guys, we'll be back on Friday for a photo editing stream, and maybe we'll talk more next weekend on Sunday about the OM5 once the if I didn't get mine in already, so I might end up buying it between now and then. Who knows? All right. Thanks guys for being here. We'll see you again soon.